Check 1, 2.
Hopefully I don't
yeah,
fuck
there
this
we
up.
go.
All right, so welcome back. This is take 2.
This is like take 37.
Yeah, we kind of screwed up the audio. I actually fixed the audio for you guys, so if you're listening and you had listened to the
should work.
This
a
should
lot
work.
better.
Sam came down and helped out.
Hey.
So last week or 2 weeks ago we had Liam Miles on. Kind of gave a cool perspective of media, the background on media and stuff like that. This week we got another media guy here. Sam Igel from Cincinnati, so he's going to kind of give you another walkthrough of what it's like in the world of media and the car scene. But, yeah, we're here in my garage, my parents' garage.
My Lamborghini here.
Yeah, we just we didn't have a place to set up, so we were like, fuck it, what's a better place than the garage with the car in the background? So, yeah, this is Sam Igel. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, kind of tell the people what you're about.
Yeah, I'm Sam. I'm from Cincinnati. Some of you may know me. Some of you may not care who I am. I am a photographer based out of Cincinnati. I work for Violent Click. I work for Southern Roots. I work for Dedicated, which I'm sure Ben talked about in his podcast.
Yeah, we
I
talked
haven't
about it a little
watched
bit,
it yet.
not much.
I just kind of freelance. I do work full-time at a performance shop. I am a marketing manager there. I run their social media platforms, all of that. And then on the weekends and evenings, I freelance photography whenever I can. Just get out and shoot as much as possible. If you've ever been to a show anywhere within like 6 hours of me and you've heard this laugh that's kind of like the hyenas from Lion King mixed with a witch's cackle, that's me. I guarantee you that it's
laugh.
me.
It's a very distinct laugh. There it is. Like if
that's the one.
If
That's
you're in
the
a room,
laugh. Wow, look at those peaks. Those
in a,
audio peaks.
Oh wow. If you're in a room full of people and you just hear this distinct laugh, you're like, "There's Sam." You can pinpoint him just directly.
It's super easy. It's dumb.
Yeah. So I mean, that's Sam. That's kind of just a quick intro on him. Like, you want to just kind of talk about? We've been doing it every episode. Just kind of talk about your background in cars, how you got into cars, and then kind of segue into how you got into photography. If you want to just keep talking.
I think I can actually do it backwards. So
okay.
I started in photography in 7th grade. One of my buddies came to me and he's like, "I want to start a YouTube channel." I was like, that sounds pretty dope. People are making millions of dollars off YouTube. Yeah. Let's do this. So I carried around this little Canon point and shoot. To this day, I still have it. It's a Canon ELPH 300HS. I bought it 10 years ago, maybe a little bit shorter than that. And I carried that thing with me everywhere I went. Every day. It was in my pocket. One day I had a friend approach me in high school, so 2-3 years later, and said there was a photography contest happening at a local park district, and whoever got the best photo of the park would win $500. And I was like, yo, that'd be dope, but I can't do that with this little shitty point and shoot. There's no way. So I borrowed a camera from a buddy of mine. I immediately fell in love with it. It was a Canon Rebel XT. It was the first DSLR Canon ever made. And I went and shot that park district thing, and I never actually did anything with the photos. That's a pretty common theme with me. If you don't know me, is I take really long time to do anything with the photos that I take.
But they're good photos.
Yeah, they're decent.
So it's been how many months since Stupid Cold? 2 months?
Yeah, Stupid Cold was January 19th, and I posted my photos Friday, which was March 16th.
But it was a big set.
It was 600 photos.
Yeah.
But so in high school, I did filmmaking. Like, I did short films and this, that, and the other. So I wanted to upgrade a DSLR to shoot video and do short films and YouTube skits and whatever I could get my hands on. And then I finally got a nice DSLR that was like worth something. And I figured out that taking photos is way fucking easier than shooting video. So like, shout out to all the videographers out there. Like, I'm getting back into it this year, but photo is so much easier. And like, any photographer that says that their job is difficult, to an extent it is, depending on who they are. But like, all the kids running around the car shows, with just pointing and shooting, it's not hard. Everything that I do, I've taught myself. I've been shooting for, God, I've had a camera for 8 years now almost, and I've been taking it seriously for probably the past 3 or 4, and everything I know I have taught myself. Shout out to YouTube University. It's a pretty solid resource to learn things. I'm sure you learned stuff.
I learned to work on cars on YouTube.
Exactly.
My dad and YouTube, and then a little shop down the street I used to hang out with.
Yeah, and I'm the same way with photography. I learned just by doing. I'm a very hands-on person, and so many people approach me. Like I'll get questions on Instagram all the time. Yo, Sam, I'm a huge fan. How do you take such good photos? Like, one, chill. My photos really aren't anything special compared to a lot of people, at least in my opinion. And 2 is just never stop shooting. Take your camera off of auto mode, put it in manual, learn how your camera works. I can look at any scene that I'm at and roughly guess what settings through everything that my camera needs to be at now, because of how often I shoot in different settings and how I pay attention to the way things work and stuff like that.
That's just time.
And it really is. It's legitimately just time. Yeah. If I showed you photos from 3 years ago where I shot on roughly the same setup I do now, they're nothing. They're garbage photos. Yeah, and like at the time, I was stoked. I was so stoked. I was like, look at how cool this photo is. I did this. And you go back after however many years and you're just like, wow, I did that. It's like your first car, you know, your first car, you plasti dip the wheels and you're like, dude, that was so tough. Like, and it's the exact same way with photography. It's any hobby, really. You just, with time, you progress. And then
Liam talked about the same thing. So it's like I guess it's a really big theme in that whole.
Yeah, and it really is. The longer you do it, the more you end up learning. You teach yourself tricks. You learn from other people. You know, I've learned from Liam, and Liam has learned from me. I'm sure. You know, we have a violent media group chat that everyone's just in there jerking each other off over their car photos. But you know, when you need help, you can approach another photographer. Like, I'm more than happy to help people and answer questions and stuff like that. And I think that's a really important thing for beginning photographers, because I didn't really have anyone to go to. I took a photography class my senior year. My senior year of high school, I took 5 out of 7 of my classes were art classes. And I didn't realize...
That's the beauty of high school.
Oh, yeah. It was great. But I didn't realize that it was an intro to digital photography class, right? And I had already been shooting for almost a year on a camera that was absolutely busted. It never worked properly, and this, that, and the other. But I remember, you know, you're sitting in class on the first day of the semester, and the teacher's going around. She goes, why'd you take this class? Why'd you take this class? Why'd you take this class? And she gets to me and she goes, Sam, why did you come here to teach this class for us? So we get like 2 weeks into the class, and I was like, I'm sorry, I didn't realize it was an intro class. Either way, I'm still going to go through it. And we get like 2 weeks into class, and we're learning how to copy and paste in Photoshop, and I'm trying not to kill myself.
Yeah.
And it's just, throughout my process, I've just forced myself to learn new things. And like I said a couple minutes ago, like, YouTube University is the greatest thing in the world. Literally anything you could ever possibly need to learn is on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to learn how to take a photo, you want to learn how to torque your lug nuts, you want to learn how to roll sushi, it's on YouTube. Yes. So that's a big thing.
Kenzie's dad is renovating their house right now.
All of it's on YouTube.
He learned how to renovate the house through YouTube.
All of it.
I shit you not.
Like, it's absolutely a thing. Like, it's taking the time to dedicate to what you want to do. You're not going to be a great driver the first day you go out on track. You're not going to be a great photographer the first time you pick up a camera. But in the same breath, the only thing that I can't teach you how to do, or any photographer can't teach you, is how to have an eye for it. Yeah. You can learn composition, you can learn the rule of thirds, you can learn lighting, you can learn everything like that. But if you don't have the artistic eye, sometimes it just doesn't work. But anything else, go on YouTube and look it up. Light painting, I learned that on YouTube. Long exposures, I learned that on YouTube.
And you got some killer light painting, long exposure shots.
Yeah, that one of your one of your car in your driveway.
It's
Yeah,
like super snowy. I don't know how you did it because it's. I don't know how you just like. I don't know, man. It looks so good.
I spent probably half an hour. Or actually, I spent like an hour outside with Squirt while we were waiting.
It was like 0 degrees, literally 0 degrees.
Yeah, we were waiting for Marco to get here because we didn't want everyone to be asleep when Marco got here. So I was like, I'm going to go take pictures. And Squirt was like, I'm going to come with you. I was like, great, let's do it. So I used Squirt as my minion to run around and do the lighting while I just stood there with my hands in my pockets because I was cold. But it's all techniques that can be taught or learned through trial by fire, which is my preferred way of doing things.
Yeah.
But then, so throughout high school, I started taking more photos than I did videos. And then in college, I had started traveling a lot. Well, we'll go back to high school so I can get into this segues in how I got into cars. It's like junior year of high school. I was real upset about a girl one night, right?
Oh, yeah.
And my homie, Blake.
Still your sweatshirt?
No.
It didn't get that serious?
No, it wasn't that serious yet, no. But I was real upset about a girl one night, and my buddy Blake was like, yo, I'm going to a car meet downtown with some of the kids from high school, and one of the kids' dads was actually like one of the leaders of the group at the time. And I went down there. It was popping. It's called the Bum Spot. It still is called the Bum Spot, but we're not going to get into that.
That's a local thing.
It's a local thing in Cincinnati, and it used to be great, and now it's anyway.
It's like an import line show.
Ooh. But I went down to this car meetup, and I had never met any of these people, and I was like, yo, this is sick. I was taking pictures of beat up Hondas, and that's how I met one of my best friends, Kevin Hosberger. He had a beat to shit 240, and I'll never forget, I like set up my tripod. I'm like getting all these dope angles. I'm super stoked, and Kevin walks up to me and he goes, why does everyone shoot the side of my car that has the dent in the over fender? And I still have that photo because he put a huge Hoonigan sticker over the dent. And to this day, I post that photo on his wall every now and then just to remember where we came from. But and then through Kevin, actually, I started learning about drifting. I started going to local drift events at Killcare Speedway, Indianapolis Sportsdrome. The first 2 drift events I ever went to, I shot from outside the fence.
How much does that suck?
It's awful. Granted, now that I've progressed and I know what I'm doing, my first 2 drift events, it looked like the cars were sitting still.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't perfect either at the beginning, and I'm still not perfect, you know, it happens. But being outside the fence and seeing the photographers on the infield was like the biggest motivation for me. I was like, I need to get out there. So I've never told this story publicly, so we'll see what happens. Street Life Tour 2015. Street Life Tour was a big car show, drag racing, drift competition.
Do they still do that?
No, it died in 2015 or 2016 was the last year, but I'd say it probably peaked in like 2012, 2013 before I was even.
The year that killed it.
Probably. There's a lot of stuff behind that, but apparently it's coming back this year.
Okay.
They've said, but so it was car show, drag racing, drift competition, models. Yeah. Music, you know, the whole 9 yards. Yeah. Hot import nights in Dayton, Ohio. And I was shooting the drifting competition from outside the fence, and I found that the gate that goes around the track, so Killcare is just a big oval track with bank and all that. I found out that the gate, or I started by shooting photos in the flag stand because you could get to the flag stand from the bleachers with no questions asked. So I just popped in that little cubby hole there. I'm sitting on the wall taking a couple photos, and I was like, I don't like this spot. So I kept walking, and I found out the gate around the track was open. I was like, well, that's interesting. So I walked up the hill to the wall where they were gridding. Yeah. And I just kind of stood. I stood behind the wall, so I was still off the track, and I stood behind the wall for a little bit. I was like, no one's yelled at me yet.
No, is this like a 3-foot
yeah, just like a 3-foot wall. Like,
and
I could.
It's like you, wall, track.
Yeah, so me, wall, track, right? Cars are gridded here. There's a full grid of like 16 drivers. And I'm just standing there and I'm like, no one's yelled at me yet. I'm not wearing a high-vis vest. I've got a camera in my hands, and if I've learned anything, people really don't question you when you've got a camera in your hands. Don't take that too seriously. And I just stepped over the wall. And now I'm standing on grid, shooting the cars on grid and shooting the cars going by. And I stood there, I think I stood there through top 16, and no one yelled at me. So the break between top 16 and top 8, I sprinted to the infield. And I dove in one of the media boxes, which was just some K-rails. And I shot the rest of the event. And it was nighttime, and my photos were atrocious. But it was one of the best experiences of my life. I will never forget that day because my buddy Andrew ended up following me. And at the end of the event, they announced the winners. They did some burnouts, and one of our other friends didn't realize that we were on the inside of we were in the infield, and he took a photo of me and Andrew standing on the track, like amongst the burnout dust and cars, through the fence. So like the fence is in front of us, and for whatever reason, it's still to this day one of my favorite photos of me, because like you could just legitimately tell how stoked I was.
Yeah.
And then so through that, I started filling out applications for shooting other events, and I learned the way of how to do panning shots and how to properly show motion and drifting and so on and so forth. And it just kind of led me to where I am today. I actually don't even really shoot drifting that much anymore. I don't have the time to. I don't have the funds to. But then I don't even really know how I progressed into the stance scene. I'm trying to think of it, and I think it's just from like shooting cars in general. And then I started.
They sort of, I mean, they don't really go hand in hand, but they kind of.
So like you go to a drift event and you see the cars in the parking lot, the people that come to see the drifting that aren't drifters.
Yeah.
And I think that's absolutely part of it. I remember shooting 240s that weren't on track, and I thought it was the weirdest thing ever. Yeah. Like, why is this it's a drift car? Why isn't it not drifting? Yeah. But I think it was just kind of a natural progression from how my friend group shifted. I met Daniel in like 2015, maybe 2016, when the wagon was black and a monster truck.
Before the green wrap.
Oh, way before the green wrap.
It was on RPF ones, right?
Yeah, black RPF ones, I think, at that. Yeah. I met Ben at a house party. Just one day we started.
You met Ben before Ben met Daniel then?
I think, because Ben met Daniel in 2016, right?
I think so. He met him at the Florence Southern Roots at the mall.
Actually, that was the first car show I ever went to. Florence Southern Roots or Falls. No, because it wasn't Florence. Louisville was at the mall.
Well, no, they did Florence. They had a Florence one at the mall. I don't remember what year it is. We talked about it in a previous podcast, but yeah.
So now I do remember how I started shooting stance stuff. So through
Look at that. We sparked
jogging the memory, man. Through the bum spot, I met a couple people. Jessica Toll, actually. Yeah. I still don't know if I'm pronouncing her last name right. She'll correct me if I didn't. Yeah. She posted about Southern Roots one day, and I was like, I'd never even heard of this. This sounds really cool. So me and my buddy Corey, we hopped in our car. We went down to a Sears parking lot in Louisville, and I think it was either 2015 or 2016, and I had a blast. I met Martin. I met a whole bunch of people that are like still a very significant part of my life today, and that was 3 years ago now. And then through that, I met so-and-so, and I took so-and-so's a photo of their car and this, that, and the other, and just started building that network of people outside of the network that I had from drifting. And some people go from stance to drifting, and some people go from drifting to stance. But to me, it's all kind of one and the same to an extent. With 4,000 friends on Facebook, you kind of lose track of who's who and what's what. But so that's actually how I got into stance, was Southern Roots.
Who brought you there? Jessica?
I saw Jessica posting about it, and I was like, this seems like a good time. Who wants to go? So me and Corey Goins, I don't know if you remember him.
I don't remember him. Wait, hold on. He came down to the stance house, right?
Yeah, the night that I met you, he was with me.
Okay.
And we just went down there. Just like, I posted on Facebook, I was like, yo, who's going? And Jessica was like, I'm going. And I was like, all right, cool, let's go.
That's how it all works.
No, and it really is. Like, you know, it's just a big community, and especially with Southern Roots, like I just got here from Bowling Green for Southern Roots, and now I work for Southern Roots. I'm the lead photographer for Southern Roots, and I've met so many amazing people through Southern Roots that it was just kind of a natural progression. And then I think it was mostly Southern Roots and Import Alliance up until this year, really, in all honesty.
Yeah.
It's like I would get together with people, but I didn't go to shows. I went to Week Fest last year with Daniel. That was a crazy ride. In 24 hours, I went from like going to get a beer with Ben and Daniel to coming back from Chicago. And I had already not slept the day before.
Yeah, I remember that whole thing.
That was an ordeal. But I think I'm getting sidetracked. I don't really remember what the question was. I think it was just how I got into the car scene.
It doesn't matter. Just keep talking.
So it's just that it was just kind of a natural progression for me as I met more and more people in the car scene. I just started going to more and more things and meeting even more people, and now I've got, through Violent and through Southern Roots and through all these different facets of my life, I have thousands of people that I can call close friends.
Yeah. Let's look at the agenda here.
Oh yeah, we have that.
Let's see. All right.
So I think that segues. We can segue that.
You want to talk about let's talk about just how much of a family everybody is.
Oh, well that. Oh boy. So many people, like, not to direct this to Violent Click, but so many people say car groups in general are stupid. I know a lot of people. I can name names. I won't, but if they see this, they'll know.
Yeah. If the shoe fits, as I've been told so many times.
Oh, I'm sure you've been told that. But so many people are just like, car groups are so dumb. I don't understand why you would do that. This, that, and the other. And like, I don't have a cool car. I've never had a cool car, but I'm a good person. At least I try to be. And through Violent Click, I have, without a doubt, a worldwide family. Like, I wouldn't even hesitate to call Violent my family. Actually, I'm going to run it back a little bit. Southern Roots, so how I got into Violent. Southern Roots, Florence, 2016, was at the horse track.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy taking portraits.
Yeah, Sam takes mad candids of everybody.
So the reason I got into Violent, and not a lot of people know this outside of Violent, the reason I'm in Violent is for my candid photos of people. My car photos are there, they're great, whatever, but that's not why I'm part of Violent. So Southern Roots 2016 fall meet, I took probably 800 or 1,000 photos while I was there, and I posted 150 or 200, I think. I was in a mood, so I did all black and white, and I think there was 3 car photos in there, and the rest of them were of people, of my friends, of people I didn't know, of just the atmosphere of the show. And Ben approached me. We had only known each other for a couple months at this time, and Ben approached me and said, to this day, the greatest compliment I've ever received as a photographer is, he said to me, I was trying to figure out if we could make a show about the people and not about the cars. And he said that I proved to him that it was possible. So through joining Violent Click, the reason that I travel with Violent, and if you've seen my albums from shows, you'll understand and even the reason that I'm part of Southern Roots is like this as well, is that I appreciate the people so much more than the cars.
Yeah.
The cars are great. I love the cool cars. I love seeing crazy cars and whatever people are doing to destroy their shit. But
Total.
Oh, that thing's totaled. But to me, the people mean so much more. Without the people, you wouldn't have the shows, and you wouldn't have the...
Yeah, there's a golf course over there.
Sorry, a golf cart is just cruising down the street.
Just wait till the 6-door Prius pulls out.
That's not real.
I swear to God.
But so without the people in the car scene, you wouldn't have shows, and the cars wouldn't be built. And to me, that matters so much, and so many people don't realize it. And then tying that in with my relationship with Violent is like a lot of people really appreciate the work that I do because, and not to say that other photographers don't do this, but so many people are just there to take photos of cars. They edit in less than 2 days and they post a 600 photo album of every single car that was at the show. I don't even think I shot all the Violent cars that were at the show at Stupid Cold.
Yeah. And we had a lot.
I didn't get a photo of every single Violent car at the show. Because that's not my job. It's not what I get paid to do. It's not the way I operate. I hate shooting car shows.
A lot of photographers say that.
Yeah, so it's
like
difficult.
They'd much rather shoot the pre-meet and the post-meet than shoot the actual show.
Well, and I think pre-meets and post-meets have their own vibe as well versus the actual show. Because everyone knows that the show is going to be a whole day thing. Like, this is an ordeal. Yeah. I loved Slammed Enough. I loved Stupid Cold. But we were there for like 12 hours, if not longer.
You show up in
you show up to...
You leave the hotel when it's dark, and you don't get back until it's dark.
Yeah.
Your whole day's gone.
Yeah, absolutely.
We talk about this all the time, how to make a show that's like a solid, like a 4-hour show.
Yeah.
Solid. But yeah, continue.
And I think...
I do that all the time.
That's something you can elaborate on for sure. But, you know, it's not my job or even my primary interest to shoot the cars. I love shooting cars, but I'd rather shoot them when I have control. That's a photographer thing, I would assume at least, is that, you know, shooting cars at a show suck. There's this much room between each car. You get 2-3 feet. You got a billion people walking around, and I can't not get people in it, so why not get the people? My favorite photos I take are of when we do go out as a group to shoot, and like everyone was just standing on the sidewalk yesterday, and I took a photo of Brandon's car that everyone is in, or the photos of your car that I've posted already from this weekend is just everyone is in the photos just chilling, hanging out, and it's so much more about the atmosphere to me than it is just about the cars.
I think a lot of crews are like that. I mean, as far as like just everyone's a family.
Yeah.
But I mean, and I don't know, it's just cool to see other people like that. You don't see it because no one's there like you to
document it. Yeah, absolutely. And like I'm sure when Slammed Enough runs an event, they all get a house together. When Faded Mob goes to an event, they all get a house together, and so on and so forth. It's just that no one's really there to capture it, and I think
that's what sets us apart.
Yeah,
it doesn't make us better.
No, it absolutely doesn't make us better, but it helps people see the inside of things, if you will.
Yeah.
You know, if we're ever rolling to a show and someone gets a blowout, you bet your ass I'm going to be standing on the side of the highway taking photos of that because it's part of the story. It's part of the adventure that happened, and I personally would want to document that. So 20 years from now, 50 years from now,
we can laugh at it.
We can be like, look how stupid we were.
It's cool because like my dad has like just boxes and boxes of like printed out film photos, and he'll be like, just because he was into cars when he was growing up, and he'll pull out an album and be like, you know, this is when I fell asleep driving and crashed my RX-7 into the guardrail or something. And
that's
he has
wild.
Pictures,
You have
of
photos
it on the side of the road,
and
it's like,
I think that's another reason I am a photographer and I enjoy taking photos. Is like, to be cliche, is like you can capture a moment in time, and a photograph never changes, even when the people and the objects that are in the photo do. You know, so I just want people to have something to look back on. Because, like, if I was going to a car show and I didn't have a camera, I wouldn't know what to do.
Yeah.
Why am I here?
Fuck, dude, I stand around half the time just with my thumb on my ass figuring out what to do. Like, I'm like
absolutely. No, and it's just that, like, through... Even though I posted my Stupid Cold album 2 months after Stupid Cold, people were so stoked to go back through it and remember everything and relive it almost to a point.
Yeah,
and, you know,
it retells the story.
Yeah, and it absolutely 100% does.
Fills in the forgotten spots. You're like, I did that.
Fills in the blanks when I bring my camera to the club. Watch out.
Yeah.
I was the only person there with a camera. Which, you know, at the beginning of the night, everyone was like, why did you bring your camera? Like, I don't understand.
And at the end of the night, it was like...
At the end of the night, everyone was like, yo, this dude has a camera! Like, everyone was super stoked. And I want to be able to remember that. I want other people to be able to enjoy the moments that normally might not be captured. And... that's why I enjoy shooting shows, is for the memories and the moments, not for the cars at all. I hate shooting car shows. I'm going to reiterate that. Car shows are the worst thing to shoot ever. But for me, it's for the people. Absolutely. And, you know, like we said, it doesn't make Violent better that we cover that. It absolutely does not. But I think Liam and I both do a really good job of capturing the essence of who everyone really is. And in Liam's full videos, you see a lot of the partying, but in the Gatlinburg 2017 video, for example, you see a lot more of the chill side.
Yeah.
Absolutely the chill side. In the Riverside video from last year as well, you see us just hanging out, chilling in a creek. Luna's stacking rocks, and you know, we're not all just party animals. We really do come together as a family, and you know, some of us only get to see each other 2-3 times a year. Yeah. I'm lucky enough to live 2 hours away from you, but like Scrap and Luna, they're 16 hours away.
Right.
I only get to see them when we meet in the middle in Tennessee. Yeah. You know, or actually Scrap came up to see me. So that can be another segue. I'm just audibly calling out segues.
Go for it, dude. It's your episode,
I'm calling out the fourth wall.
Hey, it's all you. I'm just here to kind of like sit here and listen to your story.
But so Violent Click to me is especially important. Arguably one of the most important things in my life, if not the most important thing in my life. In 2017, September, I was delivering pizza, driving a Chevy Cavalier, had no fucking clue what I was doing with my life. And the week of Gatlinburg, for anyone that's listening to this that doesn't actually know this story already, and I don't know if that's even a thing because the video got like 60,000 shares or whatever. Yeah. But September 28th, it was the week of Gatlinburg. We were leaving for Gatlinburg on Thursday. I totaled my car Monday night, delivering pizza. I was run off the road. I went about 40 feet off, hit a tree at about 35 miles an hour, and totaled my car.
Not this totaled, like fucked it up.
No, like absolutely totaled the car. I was stuck in my car for an hour before I found my phone and could call 911. No one could see me from the road. I actually remember when I called 911, I stayed on the line with the operator, and he said, make sure you don't hang up until they find you. And the first 2 police cruisers that went to where I said I was drove past me because they couldn't see me. So I dislocated my hip, which wasn't a big deal. It was reset that night. But then through the internal bleeding from the seatbelt caused my hip dislocation, and your boy got a gut. So it messed up a lot of things in there too. And through the internal bleeding and not being allowed to walk because my hip was just reset, which is the femur into the hip is the hardest joint in the body to dislocate. And I did it.
Yahtzee.
Stop. No. I was in bed rest for 2 days and developed a blood clot in my lung, which led me to being in the hospital for a full week. So Monday to Monday, I was in the hospital. And I just remember sitting there thinking on like Wednesday when they found the blood clot, I've got a blood clot in my lung. And the only thing I was thinking of is how I could make it to Gatlinburg.
Yeah.
I
remember this.
I was like, I'm supposed to leave Thursday with Ben. That's not going to happen. There's no way I'm getting out of the hospital Thursday morning or Wednesday night or whatever. I was like, but if I get out Thursday afternoon or Thursday evening, Brady said I can go down with him. And I was trying to do with whatever little power that I had within that hospital. I was trying to figure out how I could get out. And I didn't end up being able to make it. The following weekend, I was supposed to shoot one of my best friends. I was supposed to shoot Duke Newport's wedding, and I couldn't make it to that either. I was bedridden for probably 2 weeks after I got out of the hospital because I was in so much pain from the wreck. And to this day, like, I still have scars on my knees from the dash, and there's actually like a laceration scar from the seatbelt right on my collarbone. And
they had to like cut the car.
They cut the B pillar out of the car entirely and took both doors off to get me out. And it's mostly just because it was on a hill and I'm a big boy, so like, you know, just make it easier for themselves. I'm 6'6", 300 pounds.
Sorry to like.
No.
But was that like scary with a fucking saw running next to your head?
So, like I said, I spent an hour in the car trying. So, the first couple minutes is like, that sucked. That just happened. All right, where am I? What's going on? Like, I didn't get knocked out or anything like that. I remember very specifically being wet because later that night I found out when a police officer came to like write the report. He came to the hospital. He was like, "You weren't drinking, were you?" And I was like, "Absolutely not. I would never drink and drive." But I had left a 6-pack of beer in my trunk that I forgot about. And he said they found a can like 40 yards away from the wreck.
Dang.
Fucking yeeted these beer cans. Because I remember very specifically being wet. But so I'm just going to play out this whole scenario. A couple minutes in, I'm like, all right, this happened. I'm stuck. Let me find my phone. Or I didn't even realize I was stuck at that point. But I wanted to find my phone and call my parents, call my manager at Domino's, call 911. Probably in that order, to be completely honest, because I wasn't dying, but I couldn't find my phone. And I was like, well, shit. And I could see a house across the street. Like, I was looking up at a house that had its porch light on, and it looked like there was people in the living room watching TV or something. How they didn't hear me totaling my car at 40 miles an hour, 35 miles an hour.
This is Cavalier, this is crumpled, man.
This is like crushing an aluminum can. But I tried to get out of the car. And that's when I realized that my leg was messed up. I didn't know what was messed up, but I knew it hurt to put pressure on my leg. But to like give an illustration of where the car was, the frame was bent, so I couldn't open the door.
Do you have pictures?
Yeah,
of the car?
I have pictures.
So like if you send them to me, can I just put them over the video?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not pictures of the accident scene, but it's pictures of the car sitting in a junkyard.
Yeah.
With the doors sitting next to it.
Yeah.
And the super ironic smashed bumper sticker on the back end. But to put it into perspective, I was sitting on a hill, probably almost at like a 70 or 80 degree angle. So for the way I tried to get out of the car, I was standing on the door card of the passenger side and lifting myself out of the driver's window. And I spent probably 20 or 30 minutes trying to get myself out. And I may be big, but I'm kind of weak. I don't work out. So it was
because I'm small and weak. So.
It was very difficult. And even if I were to make it out of the car.
Our video straight up washed out. Oh, well, keep going.
Dang. You can fix that in post. I'll teach you. But to make it out of the car, I would have fallen 2 or 3 feet onto the ground into a thorn bush, and that just didn't sound appealing at all. And as I'm trying, I'm wrestling, I'm fighting, I'm exhausted. I heard a Snapchat notification, and I was like, yo, holy shit. Because every single window in the car was up, and they all got blown out. The rear windshield obliterated every single window except the driver's windshield, because it's not supposed to do that, was obliterated. And after trying to find my phone, I was like, there's no way it's here. So I just gave up and started trying to get out, and I heard a Snapchat notification, and it was definitely inside the car. So I was like, my phone is in here somewhere. I have to find it, because I'm not getting out of this by myself. Even if I did, I wouldn't know what to do after that.
Yeah.
So I searched. I fell back into the car, into the passenger seat, and I searched and searched and searched for like probably 10 or 15 minutes and couldn't find it. And at that point, I gave up. It was probably 40 minutes in. I gave up, and I took my hoodie off, or I took a hoodie from the back seat that was covered in beer, and the pizza delivery bag that wherever.
Did you eat the pizza?
No. So I'll never forget what they ordered. They ordered jalapeno pineapple buffalo wings and a Caesar salad with ranch dressing and a 2-liter of Coke. That's what they ordered.
So that's why you didn't eat it, because it's fucking gross.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. I wanted nothing to do with it.
Did they get a free pizza?
I don't know what happened to him. So what happened was, I had given up, and I like made a pillow, and I was like, I'm just going to sleep here. I'm not bleeding profusely. I probably won't die. So I'm just going to lay down, and who knows what'll happen. And then a couple minutes later, I got a phone call. And I heard it, but I couldn't see my phone. I was like freaking out. I was like, oh my God. And I thought that it was my manager, Doug. Shout out to Doug. Great dude. I was like, it has to be Doug. This delivery takes maybe 10 minutes, and I've been gone for almost an hour at this point. It has to be Doug. He has to be trying to figure out where I'm at. And the phone stopped ringing, and I hadn't found it yet. And I was like, oh my God. So he ended up calling again a couple minutes later, and I found my phone sitting on the dashboard face down under the passenger airbag. So like, if I had not heard it, there was no way I would have ever found it. Doug was like, where are you? I was like, that's a good question.
Somewhere between here, somewhere between Domino's and the delivery.
Right, yeah. And I was like, Doug, call my dad, tell him I've been in a wreck. Somewhere on 8 Mile. By time he knows what's happening, the rescue crews will be here, and so on and so forth. So then I called 911. They cut the B pillar of the car. Actually, I called 911. I stayed on the phone with the operator until the safety crew showed up. Once the operator hung up, I checked my Snapchat. I texted my mom. Actually, no, I checked my Snapchat to see whoever snapped me, and then I took a photo of where I was sitting and sent it in the Violent group chat. I was like, guys,
I remember it.
I was like, guys, I just totaled my car. I'll let you know what's happening. And to reiterate that idea of family, like, my dad knew, and then Violent Click knew. Like, that's how it was for me. But to be in a car with the doors being cut off of it is really weird. But like I said, at the same time, I absolutely exhausted myself from how much I tried to get out of the car. But they give you like what I could imagine is like a moving blanket, you know, the shit that you put in the truck to cover everything. And they just like, hey kid, cover your face. I was like, okay. And I'm sitting there like texting the group chat under a blanket like I'm hiding from my mom or something. And it was loud and it was crazy, and there was more glass that somehow had not already been broken, probably like the 3/4 glass or whatever, that like ended up covering the blanket that I was under. And then they tied a rope under my arms and around my chest and had to pull me out of the car that way, up onto a stretcher. And then there's like a 30-minute hospital ride. And then I don't remember much after that because they put me on morphine to reset my leg. So then for like 2 days straight, I don't really remember much beyond that from the pain medicine. But to fast forward from that, we go to October. Everyone had a great time at Gatlinburg. I FaceTimed a couple people while they were there, got Snapchats all weekend. Was super jealous that I couldn't have been there, and was very.
That was Naomi's being born. So
right.
We were both in the hospital.
Yeah.
You were under much worse terms.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I completely forgot about that. But like, so we fast forward to October. I'm still miserable. I'm still not allowed to go back to work. I'm kind of walking at this point. I was supposed to be using crutches, but I hate crutches because they limit me. And especially being so tall. I don't know if you've ever had to use crutches because you're super lanky.
Never.
Like, it's awful being tall and having to use crutches because most of my height is my legs. And to not be able to use my legs just is a foreign concept. So I was supposed to be on crutches. I never used them. I was supposed to be, like, I had scheduled times when I was supposed to be taking pain pills. Like, I was still at that point. And Fall Southern Roots is coming up. And then Ben was running a pop-up shop for Dedicated on Friday the 13th in Over the Rhine in Cincinnati, which is like a cool, hip spot for food and drinks and clothing and stuff like that. And I remember Ben for like a week or two was asking me if I was going to be able to make it to the pop-up shop. And I was like, honestly, I haven't been cleared to drive yet by my doctor. I'm not working, so I'm not making any money outside of workman's comp, which was just enough to pay bills. And we get to the Saturday of the pop-up shop throughout the weekend, and he's like, I was supposed to wake up at like 8 or 9. I told him I would be up at that time, and I didn't wake up. I woke up to 17 missed calls from Ben, trying to figure out like where I was and what I was going to do and how I was going to get there. And I told him, I was like, honestly, man, I'm in so much pain. I don't want to do anything. Like, I just want to lay in bed today. Which you should never do if you're ever in that position. If you're capable to get out of bed, do it. But he sent Liam to pick me up. Liam drove like half an hour out to my house, picked me up, and brought me to the pop-up shop. And we're standing there chilling for a couple minutes, and then Ben tells me to sit down. And I was like, what's happening? This is the first time that I've been around everyone for months, and especially after my accident. It was the first time I ever really left the house at all. For like almost 2 months, I hadn't left the house. Or no, a little over a month, I hadn't left the house. And, Scrap was there. Scrap came all the way up from Louisiana to hang out with me. And Duke came out too. Mm-hmm. So I got sat down. Someone made a joke about giving me a lap dance, which made me uncomfortable. And then Ben started talking, and he got a group of people together. And to this day, I'm still not entirely sure everyone that did this, but they all pulled together and ended up raising $2,600 to help me buy a new car. And then Duke came out and gave me his camera and all his gear, like the exact stuff that I was saving up to buy. And like to this day, I still don't know how to react to it. Like, it blew my mind. Like, I was definitely trying not to cry. I remember going back home and watching the video. Martin Glong posted the live video, and it like 60,000 views and a couple hundred shares, and everyone was like, this is really cool. Like, it changed, like, a lot of my friends, it changed their opinion on Violent Click. And even local guys, they were just like, yo, I used to hate Violent, but if they do stuff like that, like, I'm with it. Like, I'm about it. And like, drift dudes were sharing it, and they're like, yo, car clubs are like kind of tight. And stuff like that. I remember going home and watching the video, because I remember like the rest of the day I kind of like felt bad because I didn't really say anything. I was just so taken aback that like I for real didn't say anything. And I went home and I watched the video, and I started bawling my eyes out, like just sitting at my desk crying. And like I said, I don't know if I'll ever have the words to properly thank everyone that did that for me. And it really helped me get back on my feet and helped me get back into shooting. I hadn't touched a camera in over a month almost 2 because I was so busy with work that like it really reignited everything for me and got me back on my feet to an extent, because like I do deal with depression and anxiety, and being in that situation, being bedridden for so long really affected me directly. And that was like the biggest thing that helped me get out of it and get back to shooting and get to where I am today now, working full time as a photographer and being able to travel all across the country and shoot all these shows and stuff like that. So Violent Click means more to me than anything in my life. And the family that is associated with the car scene in and out of Violent Click, all of the friends that I've made in any car related facet is just unreal to me. It blows my mind that I can visit any state in the country and even some parts of the world, and someone will be like, dog, I got a couch.
Yeah.
You're good. And it's just blows my mind that that's even possible.
Yeah, I mean, Liam kind of talked about the same thing, obviously on different terms, but
right.
he's traveling around doing his own thing. Mm-hmm. He's like, I can go basically wherever and have a couch to sleep on because of Violent.
Yeah,
and because of his
and for me, it's not even just Violent. It's people through drifting, and it's just people that know me on Facebook. I don't know if I'm gonna stay at Jim Bob's house in the middle of nowhere, Colorado, but if I need to, I might as well try it.
Yeah. That's cool, man. That's like good shit.
Right, dude. It's like I don't really talk about it that much because no one wants to listen to me talk. I don't think anyone's gonna want to listen to that. But
it's cool to like. I mean, the whole thing behind the podcast is like
see the stories.
See the story. Like, if someone, I mean, you don't have time to tell that at a meet or at a car show. Like,
no, absolutely not. I barely had time to tell it while I was there.
Yeah, so it's like it's just bringing out the stories and the person behind what you see on social media and yeah, that whole thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I don't know if you want to talk about anything else. I told you I was going to surprise you, but I was going to have any surprise questions.
You don't have any surprise questions?
I was trying to think of one the whole time. I can't come up with that.
I don't know. You just reiterate. As a photographer, just get out and shoot. Like, and especially for the little guys that are just starting out, because I was once there too, and I'm still learning every day. Just get out and shoot. Like, if you have the free time to dedicate to it and you want to be good at it, you have to spend the time. There's really no other way. It's no different than driving. It's no different than playing video games. You just have to take the time and do it. There's so many resources for you to be able to use and so on and so forth. And then a lot of people ask me, like, how do I set up shoots with all these crazy cars, But, like, all of my friends have crazy cars. So go out to meets and meet people and go to shows and meet people and just start talking to people. Because, again, to me, the people are more important than anything. Kenzie drives a Focus. It's bone stock, but I still love Kenzie to death.
Right.
I don't care what she drives. I drove a Chevy Cavalier for 4 years. No one gave a shit about what I drove because it's about the people. And a lot of people won't say it, but it is for them too.
Yeah.
100%. Why would Scrap drive 16 hours to come to Fall Southern Roots? He came up to see everyone because he knew that everyone was gathering for a certain thing, and he came up. And the people, without the people, there would be no shows, there would be no cars, there would be no meets, anything like that. It's just that the people are really important in the car scene, and I want more people to realize that. It's all about being together, enjoying what you're doing together, and building those memories and relationships that will last forever. God, I sound like I just ended a college movie.
Yeah, or like did like a commencement speech or something.
I absolutely just did a convention. I actually spoke at my graduation in high school.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You're that guy. All right, I came up with a surprise question.
Oh, good.
I know you hate shooting cars, and cars aren't like...
No, it's not that I hate shooting cars. It's I hate shooting car shows.
Okay, so you hate shooting cars, and cars aren't your like main focus. You love people, and you'd rather shoot people than cars. But What is your all-time favorite car? Like the actual car, drifting or stance? I asked Liam the same question. He didn't have an answer.
Really?
Yeah.
That I've ever shot?
Or just in general.
Well, I'll have to do that I've ever shot because you see things on Instagram and they don't look like that in person.
Yes.
I don't know if y'all have ever seen this thing in person.
It's way dirtier in person.
We all have gotten really good at making this car look phenomenal.
Yeah, if you want to be a great photographer and learn how to edit really good, take a picture of this.
Which we're about to go do.
Yeah.
But, God, your followers are going to hate that.
Yeah.
I'm just talking shit about Cody. If y'all want to talk shit about Cody, just DM me. We can talk shit about him together.
Or just comment it. Other people will it'll be like a snowball effect.
Honestly, my favorite car I've ever shot, because like I said, I can't comment on my favorite car ever. That's difficult. But honestly, I want to say it's probably Shane Whaley's GTO. Shane Whaley is a semi-professional drifting driver based out of Detroit, Michigan. And however many years ago, he bought a Pontiac GTO off the showroom floor. It was like the 06 to 08 model, whatever they were. And slowly but surely turned it from a street car to a full-blown professional drifting car. It's 800-something horsepower turbo LS. And it's got the biggest wing you will ever see in your life. And I don't even know if I'm allowed to say this, but the wing on that car, I don't know if you've ever seen that car. And I've got a phenomenal photo of it that you can throw in there.
Yeah.
The wing on that car is not a wing, technically. It's an airfoil for racing boats. So like the things that
I've seen the uprights for it. They're
no. So the canards, I guess, if you will, that connect the ballasts to the actual fuselage of the boat.
Yeah.
Those little airfoils, that's what that is. Okay. And it's massive. And it's just that like Shane drove that car for so many seasons and it had so much character to it. And he didn't take himself too seriously like so many people do in the car scene. His license plate, which I don't think was even legal. I think it expired in like 2012 and I shot the car in 2016. But his license plate says DTFSU, down to fuck shit up. And on the wing under it, it just says Big Wang Gang.
Yeah, Big Wang Gang.
And like there's photos of Shane, like I never caught one, but there's photos of Shane laying on his wing. Like grid shut down for whatever reason, there was a wreck or whatever. Shane would get out of his car and take a nap on the wing of his car.
There's some pretty cool photos of him at LS Fest at Beach Bend in Bowling Green. And they put cones on the the little on the concrete barrier as clipping points.
Yeah.
And his end plates are just knocking cones off.
Yeah, I actually, LS Fest 2016, I threw a GoPro on his passenger side end plate, which is the way they approach that wall. And I told him, when you come back, I don't want my GoPro to be on your car. And it wasn't.
I think I've seen that video.
Yeah.
Did it get put out?
Yeah, I put it out.
I think I've seen that video.
Because he smacked the first cone and then smacked the second cone and his end plate came off. Like, that happened all the time. His end plates always came off that wing.
Quick release.
Yeah, something like that. But, and again, like, going through that, like, Shane did not give a shit. And his personality showed through his driving. So, again, tying it back into the people matter, there's different, in the drifting world, there's different drivers have different driving styles. That's the entire point of drifting. But I'd have to say my favorite car I've ever shot is Shane Whaley's GTO. And I shot a feature for a magazine that never got printed, so I'm allowed to release those photos. So I will give you some to put in here.
Okay. If I remember. I'm sure I will, because I'll be putting photos over.
I sit at my desk. I sit at a desk literally like 12 to 13 hours a day, so I can send you some photos.
Fuck yeah. I'll plug this thing up. So.
Bet.
All right, man. I guess we might miss the golden. Did we already miss the golden hour?
Golden hour started like 10 minutes ago, so we've got time.
How much time?
I don't know. It's just right down the street. We can figure it out anyway.
Let's wrap it up.
All right, cool.
Thanks for tuning in again. I haven't said this yet, but I got merchandise coming. I've got t-shirts.
Ooh.
I don't know if I'm gonna get hats yet, but I've got some t-shirts on the way.
Hey, let's go.
Yeah. So hopefully they might be live by the time people see this. I don't know yet.
I mean, this is like a month out.
Yeah,
from where we're recording.
4 weeks out from now.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, 4 weeks out.
Oh yeah, because you posted. Yeah, for sure. That'd be dope. I'm stoked now.
Yeah. Get some merch. So stay tuned for that. Like, comment, subscribe, follow the YouTube.
Follow me on Instagram.
Yeah, follow the Instagrams. I'll link it up.
Great.
Like I always do.
I'm trying to get to 3,000 followers. So.
Get this man there. His photos are magnificent. So
I try.
Let's make it exactly an hour.
Oh, man.
7 seconds.
7 seconds? All right.
Let's go a little bit longer so then I can trim it down just in case we're going to bring some out. But yeah.
Okay, so what are we going to talk about for like another minute?
Nothing, let's just make it silent. You know what? No, because I'm going to add music. All right, fuck it. See you guys.
Cut it off.